What's up YouTube, and welcome to another draw along with me. Today's drawing is this lotus with all this beautiful detail inside of it. If you're new here, I draw Procreate tutorials every week. So if you'd like to follow along with a nice weekly tutorial, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And as always, if you do like the video, please like it. It helps me know that you like the content and it really helps out the channel. There is a link in the description to the palette that you can use in this tutorial, so you can follow along with the exact same colors that I do. Now this tutorial has 4 different stages. We have the outline of the lotus, as well as then we move into colouring, then into the details, and then into lighting and shadows. Now I'm aware that this style of drawing out this lotus can be a little tricky with the lines. So what I have done, if you want to jump straight ahead to step 2 of the colouring section, you can do so. You can download this outline from the description down below and you can jump straight to that particular section. Also, another point to mention, I do show you the styling of this particular petal in the middle and how to go about that, but you may notice I move a little bit faster through this particular design as all of these details take a little while to draw. So I do expect once you've worked out how to do the middle petal as well as these ones on the outside here, these two, that you'll know what to do for the rest of the design. And I would expect that you potentially leave the video playing on in the background, as everybody's then going to want to fill in their own details in each one of the different petals. It's a really fun tutorial to do, so let's get started. So let's get started by creating a new canvas. So we're going to come up to the plus and we're going to create a new canvas, and as always the canvas size will be 2500 by 2500 and set your DPI to 300. And as mentioned in the intro, you can download the palette that is in the description. So you'll have this palette here, so you'll be able to follow along with the exact same colors that I use in this tutorial. And to get started, we want to go to our background color and first set that to this color on the right hand side. It's ever so slightly off white. It's like a very light gray, but it just makes it pop a little bit more once we add all the shadows in. Now, to get started, we want to draw the outline of the mandala. So what we're going to do is first, we're going to go to our Actions tab, we're going to go to Canvas, and we're going to turn on the drawing guide, and we need to edit that drawing guide to the one we need. Now we want to turn on the symmetry option, and you want to make sure it's vertical down the middle. If you don't see vertical, go to Options, and then make sure you've got vertical turned on there. And if you can't see your line, this option at the top here allows you to change the color of the line so you can see it on your canvas, as well as you can change the opacity and the thickness so you can see it on your canvas. And then you'll get this line straight through the middle of the design. And now we've got our drawing guide down the middle. Your layer now should have assisted written on it. If it doesn't, just tap on it and you can turn on the drawing assist option, which means this layer here now will use the drawing effect that we've got here for the assisted drawing. So now we want to go to our brush library and we want to go under calligraphy. We want to scroll down to the bottom and select the option of script, and make sure our brush color is black. So from your color picker, just double tap at the bottom and you can select black. And now on our canvas, our brush size is going to be set to 16%. And we're going to get started on drawing the shapes for the mandala. So what we need to get started on first of all is the middle leaf. And you want to get started with something roughly around about that shape. So the first thing you want to do is get this leaf out here nailed first. And then you want to create that little swoop for the petals like so. And then let's add in the slightly wider one out here. Like so. And finally, let's add in the one at the very top. So using your symmetry line as the starting point, you can just start to swoop that little line in like that. So again, we kind of want to copy this shape up here. So let's just start with a swooping petal such as that. And then from there, we can add in the rest of them. So let's draw in a leaf like that. Then we want to draw in one more leaf out here like so, and let's add in one extra one down here like so. And now we've got our lotus set up, ready for us to detail. Now mine's fairly large at this point, so I'm just going to scale this down with the cursor tool and scale that down till it fits a nice proportion in the center of the design, like so. Now, very important, if you have drawn along at this point and you've not used the guides up until now, you need to position your design now perfectly in the center. Now, with the uniform cursor tool, you can make it as small or as big as you want, but then make sure you go to snapping and turn on the option of snapping under uniform, because when you drag it into position, once you see those orange lines there, that means it's perfectly down the center of the design, and it's also perfectly across the horizontal axis as well. And then we've got our lotus in the center, ideally set up so that we can add in the additional drawing assist when we continue onwards. Now at this point, you've downloaded the outline that I've just created here, or you've drawn along with me. And from here, we can move on to the second step, which is coloring. And then we'll move on to details and then shadows and highlights. Now at this point, we're going to add in the colors. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our layers, and we've got the one layer for the lotus. We're going to create a new one. Let's drag that layer underneath the lotus, and then we want to go to the lotus outline. We want to tap on it and turn on the option of reference. Now what reference does is any other layers will use these lines that we've created as a reference. And so when we go to our layer 2, for example, and we go to our color palette and select the initial color, which is this one here in the top left hand side, tap on that one. When we go to our empty layer 2, although there's no lines to drag and drop the color in, it will use the lines from layer 1 and the reference layer, and we drag and drop the color in, and as I mentioned, you can see it's filled in that color but used the lines of the lotus that we just created. Now we need to create a bunch of layers underneath the lotus for all the different colors, because we're going to shade and highlight each one individually as well as detail each one individually as well. So we're going to create a new layer, and we're going to drag that underneath our initial pink one. And with the reference still turned on, we can go to our colors and we can pick the second color in the palette, and we can drag that into the 2 positions it needs to go in on either side of the lotus, like so. And then we can create another new layer, and we can drag that underneath, and we can go to our color palette and select the third color, and this third color is going to go in the outer sides here, like so. And we're going to create another new layer. Repeat the process until we've filled in all the relevant areas that we need. Now we need to go to the 4th color on the top row, which is this blue, and on the new layer we just created, we're going to drag and drop it into the 2 sections also where this needs to be applied. And finally, we need to create one more layer for the top half of the lotus anyway, and drag and drop that underneath, and select the 5th color in our palette and drag and drop that into position, like so. Now we can color in the bottom half. Let's continue with our new layers, and then dragging that new layer underneath and filling in the right colors. So the second row now is for the second half, so the bottom half of the lotus design, and you can drag and drop the blue into this initial one. Let's create a new layer again and drag and drop that underneath. Let's go to our palette and select the second color on the second row and drag and drop that also into the 2 positions it needs to sit. And let's repeat that process one more time. So let's create a new layer and drag and drop that underneath. Grab the 3rd color in the second row, and let's drag and drop that into the widest part of the bottom half of the leaves. And finally, one new layer, drag and drop that underneath again, and let's go to our 4th and final color and drag and drop that into the 2 remaining leaves, like so. So now we've got our lotus all colored in, we want to get started on the details. Now at this point, it's totally your call about how much time you've got to detail this particular design in. The more detail you put into all the leaves, you kind of want to keep that consistent across the rest of the design as well. So if you do a lot of detail in this first leaf, just bear in mind the time when it comes to putting in the detail in all the other ones as well. So for this one here in the center, this is going to be where I start my details. I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to tap on that layer above this initial pink petal and go to clipping mask. Now what I want to do is also tap on that and turn on drawing assist, and then I want to change the drawing assist. So let's go to actions, edit drawing guide. Now we were under symmetry and we had the vertical line, but now we want to change it to radial. Now radial means we have one focal point in the middle and it will repeat it in lots of different areas around the outside. Now if I change my opacity all the way up, you can see the lines on the screen now of where that drawing guide has been placed. And if I zoom in, what I want to do is just drag and drop that drawing guide into position in the sort of belly of this petal, and as best to center as I can get. And you can sort of line yours up nicely by the tip of that particular petal. And let me just change my opacity back down and hit done. And now I've got the drawing guide on the screen. It will now repeat anything I draw in one of these little sections in all the others, like so. So what I want to do now is go to my brush library, and under calligraphy I want to scroll back down to the bottom and use the script option. And from here we can start to draw in our different designs for all the different petals. I like to start off with a circle in the center and then build everything around that. So I'm going to draw in something like that. I'm happy that that was also slightly off and not a perfect circle, because it will just add more detail into this in the long run. And we can then start to draw in all the different petals. So there's different sort of styles you could do. You could do petals, you could draw in sort of nice rounded circles, but something like that is a great start, and then you can start to change up the different styles. So I'm going to draw in like a nice curved archway like that, and maybe another one like so. And at this point I am obviously sort of drawing ahead, but feel free to maybe pause the video. Once you've understand the concept of this, you can spend as much time as you want detailing the particular design in your style. What I also like to do with this style is fill in a couple of the leaves with slightly darker sections as well. So I'm just colouring in the leaves with like a sort of inner section. I think the dark parts of it can also make the design really pop out like that. And what you also want to do is draw in like mini details. So with the script brush you can just draw like little dots. Maybe you'll draw some straight lines in here like so, and then when you zoom out with two fingers you get this beautiful detailed look to the design. And you just got to keep growing it, basically grow it up into all the edges like so. And because it's a clipping mask, you can only go so far outwards and it won't bleed into the other petals. So I'm just going to keep cracking on, and hopefully there'll be a couple of things that you like the look of. I do anticipate everybody's design being very different in terms of the detailing, because this is such a long tutorial that I think everybody will go about their own way of doing it. Maybe some people will really go all in on the details. But this is a really fun style to do. It's very interesting to see how you can make the design your own, and also different little patterns that you can make. I like the little dots and the straight lines and whatnot, and sometimes you can combine them two together as well, and you can get a really beautiful design by the end. And I definitely want to demonstrate this entire particular petal so you can see a couple of different things that I do in this design. Now I also like, because this is a beautiful central petal, you can sort of use that drawing line like so and follow that down, and then you can add in some other cool styles like that. So you don't have to be petals that just keep getting bigger and bigger. You can draw in different concepts like this, and then you can actually then drag and drop that in. And then what you could do is make sure we go back to our Lotus layer and turn that off as a reference so it doesn't interfere when we want to fill in our Lotus design. You can drag and drop the colour in like that, and then you get some nice bold lines in there. And another cool style to do is like these vertical sort of falling lines. They almost look like little vertical lines like so. And you can maybe add in some little dots on the end as if they're like hanging little beads almost. Something like that looks very pretty. And let's draw in another one like so. And if I zoom out, you can see my initial petal and the styling I've gone for with this. So I've got some nice bold black lines in there. I've also got the sort of nice little dots and the falling lines as well. Now you can see what I've done for the initial design. You can then follow along, maybe apply your own little touches here and there, but something along those lines will perfectly do for this particular style. Now, at this point, the only thing you need to change going forward is we only use the radial for this initial petal in the center. You don't need the radial going forward with the other petals. So what you can do is then go back to actions, edit the drawing guide, and go back to under symmetry, go to options and change that back to vertical. And then we get that vertical line straight down the middle again, because all you need to now do is reflect what you do on one side in the opposite leaf as well. So now we've got that design, we just need to repeat the process really in these other petals underneath. So let's create a new layer above the petals for the next one along. And you, as always, tap on that and make it a clipping mask, and tap on it and turn on the drawing assist option. Now you're set up to draw in this particular leaf here, and it will also reflect in the other leaf. So all you need to do really is now focus on like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different leaves, and it'll repeat symmetry across both. So what I'm going to draw here is, let's get started with a nice big bold outline, and maybe add in some little dashes in there for some extra details. And I want to draw what maybe looks like wings style, so something like that. And I think with this particular style, if you start to draw your design outwards and upwards, you'll get a nice little effect that like everything is pushing outwards from the center of the design. And maybe we'll make some slightly larger ones. And just repeat your design up all the different petals. And you can't really go wrong, to be honest with you. You can only add in as much detail as you like. And maybe let's draw all the outline first, and I can go in and add some details and maybe some nice rounded shapes like so. And maybe we can just make sure we draw our shape in, so we can drag and drop some colour in there. Maybe we repeat this particular bouncing look all the way up to the end, like so. And now we've got the outlines for it all. We can go in and add in some cool details. So maybe in this one I'll fill in the inside of every other petal, little petals I would say that I've drawn in there. Like so. And then maybe I do the opposite in these ones here, so maybe I draw in roughly in the gap, like so. And then just so it's not left too empty, maybe we draw in like a little circle in either one of these. Extra little lines in them, so maybe we just draw a line straight up the center like so. And this is a cool idea with this, is even though I've filled this section in, I could erase part of it. So if I go to the eraser and select the script brush and make it the same size. I could erase some details from this, so we still end up with a nice black section, but we erase parts instead of necessarily filling them in. So you can just erase little bits like so, and maybe we add in like a little dot in between all of those little sections, and then when we zoom out, we've got all of that erased from the outside. And let's go back to the brush now and just continue upwards. So maybe in here I'm going to add in some vertical lines. Like so. And then maybe here on the end I add in some horizontal lines just to tail off the top half like so. Now, I'm pretty happy with both of those. There's enough detail in them, but as always, feel free to do as you wish. And we're just going to repeat the process in the next set of petals upwards. So let's create another new layer above the outer purple sections. Tap on that and make sure we turn on the two options of clipping mask and drawing assist. And we can then also fill in the design for this one. Now for these ones in my TikTok design, I drew a outline such as this, and then only filled in content inside of that section. So just to keep it consistent with what I drew, I'm going to do exactly that, so I don't do anything in this outer section here. And now we can start to draw in the details for this one as well. So maybe we do some nice rounded styles like so. And maybe we start to make our curve upwards towards the point. And maybe when we get to this particular point, we draw in some different styles. So maybe some straight lines. So maybe hold the brush down and draw in some straight lines where we can add in some extra details in there as well. Drag and drop that into there like so, and now we've got some nice vertical lines in there. We can then go in and maybe add some horizontal lines, so maybe turn these into what look like little ladders, and then do every other one, and also do the same here like so. And do we leave these ones empty? Let's put some nice little dashes in here. And as you can kind of tell by the way I'm sort of debating what to draw in each one, there is no right or wrong way to do it, but also I'm not drawing it exactly like I did on TikTok. I'm drawing it just as I observe it. What details could we add in here and there? These curves look really cool when you add in the little smaller curves within them that are slightly darker. So you're like filling in like we did with the initial petals over here, but because these are curved, you can nicely add in those details too. So add in 2 dashes in all of these as well. And that should be that leaf nicely done. And we can move on to the other ones and repeat the process again. So we'll go down to the blue leaves here, hit the plus icon, tap on that and select clipping mask, and also turn on the drawing assist, and we can start drawing in these sections here again. Now I'm also going to draw in sort of the same shape as the leaf, but in this one I'm going to draw in some dashes straight away. So let's add in maybe a dash or maybe a circle instead, like so. And I love seeing the radial and the drawing assist, where you can start to see it also drawing on the other side. It looks so cool. And then maybe we draw in the same line again, like so. Maybe just touch that little line up a little bit there. And then we add in some lines that go and follow the same direction. for this one, I'm going to probably continue on with maybe the sort of pointed leaves, such as that. And the whole time I'm trying to make sure that this will essentially bend its way up into the point at the tip of the leaf, just so that we get some nice consistent direction. And maybe once we get to this point, we then change the style completely and we go for some big rounded sections that again sort of bounce off of one another into the point of the leaf, like so. And we can fill those in as well with different details. So let's maybe add in like a dark line and then a small line, and then the ones in the center get just a dark solid point, but then reflect that on either side. And maybe in these sections here we draw in some, let's draw in some darker sections on the inside of it. So we just sort of reflect the same arch and then colour in the different areas underneath. And I'm actually just going to repeat that in all of it. I should be able to drag and drop my colour in like so. And drag that across. And maybe we add in just a nice big circle towards the tip of that one. And that one's nice and cool because it's got a nice dark design as well, kind of consistent to this one as well. And let's move on to the top leaf as well. So we just create a new layer above it. We tap on that and turn on clipping mask, and we tap on it again to turn on drawing assistant. You're just repeating the process now multiple times on all the different leaves underneath. Now, because this one's coming straight down from the top, almost, we can get some nice hanging styles to this one. So let's draw in the different shapes. Not happy with that one. Something like that. Let's just draw that one more time. That's better. And maybe with this one we draw in the nice hanging lines from the top and give them their little beads on the end, like so. And maybe if we can, I don't think we can squeeze another one in there, we'll just put a nice dot at the top, maybe another little dot here and another little dot here. Now this one in the middle is ideal because we can start to really create some beautiful symmetry. So I'm going to create some sort of arched looking leaves like so, and just continue with that style all the way up this design. And let's do another tier, maybe make these slightly more pointed. And continue upwards. We can work on a center leaf to start with, because we've now got no line here. We can create the first leaf like that and then make our way sort of round like so. So let's do that. And maybe just draw in that little line there. And then we got some, if I pinch out, we've got some nice lines making their way upwards. And let's draw in some middle styling. So let's draw in 1, 2, nice bigger one in the middle, maybe some little dashes like so, and maybe some more like that. And then for each one of these I'm going to go in and add in some styling. So a dark line on the right edge, leaving some space on the left where maybe we would go in and add in like some smaller dashes, or maybe we add in, yeah, let's just draw in a line like so, because that should fit in all the others. And if it doesn't fit, don't have to force it. Maybe just do it on that bottom row and on the slightly larger leaves only. But I will bear it in mind now for the rest of these going upwards. And then for this one in the middle, we just make sure we get some nice symmetry in there. Something like that looks quite nice. And let's go to our layers again. Let's go down, and now we're working on the bottom half of the design. So we're going to create a new layer above the blue leaf here, and tap on that and select clipping mask, and tap on that and select drawing assist. And from this one we are going to draw in our style. I like to draw in sort of the reflection of the leaf itself almost in this style, and then repeat that process like that all the way down, like so. Till we fill out the majority of that leaf. Maybe do a straight line down the middle with a bead now the opposite way. And some nice lines such as that. And then these ones look really cool, where you draw in the reflection basically of that line, and then draw in some vertical lines that do need to bend ever so slightly all the way around. And I'm going to repeat that in every single one of these sort of mini leaves within inside the leaf. And let's just continue that on into the other one like that. And then you've got this blank space here. Now we start to add some details in, so maybe some dots and circles. They look like little faces. And let's just draw one big dot in the middle like so. And then we can move on to the outer edges, where we can move on to this petal here. So let's move down our layer, create a new layer, tap on that and make sure it's a clipping mask and also a drawing assist, and just turn your layer on and off if you're not sure. And for this one we can carry on. Now I liked with this design where I drew like the center line of a leaf like you would normally see. Maybe we'll redo that one slightly, and then from there sprout the design out either side. So I was creating some little curves like so. So like basically drawing in a leaf. And then in each one of these little sort of sections, draw in a little pattern in each one. So if I rotate my canvas, you can see that leaf effect there. And maybe we even draw in another one here. And then in there, we draw in just a different style. So maybe some just simple vertical lines in this one. Maybe in this one, we draw and repeat the sort of arching look to the leaf, and in each one maybe we draw vertical lines, maybe space them out enough that we can do the opposite in the one above, almost like a brick wall effect like that. And maybe just so it doesn't look like bricks, add in some little dashes in the middle, anywhere you can fit them in, don't force it. And then maybe in this one we go for some really pointy looking triangles almost. continue all the way up until we finish that particular area. Like so, and then again maybe go in and add some details. Maybe we actually fill in, let's say, like the middle. And maybe add in some dashes in these ones too. Like so. And continue onwards. Let's draw in this one. Maybe we draw a nice bouncy line, almost like a cloud, and then just reflect that all the way up the design. And then in each one of these we could maybe fill in the colour. Let's just draw in the colour in this one, and then maybe we do that for all the other ones above. And we just need to fill out that shape, drag and drop the colour in, and just close that shape off and drag and drop the colour in. Maybe we just leave that one as it is. Maybe we then move on to the next one instead, where in this one, let's draw in, we could maybe draw in some just very big chunky horizontal lines and kind of reflect that same policy of dragging and dropping the colour in. So you fill in your shape and then drag and drop the colour in, and like so, and then all the way up to the very edge. And then maybe in this last one we add in some nice simple swoops, like so. And then when we zoom out, we've got a beautiful reflection in both of those. That looks pretty cool. We've got nice little patterns going on in those. And we're coming towards the end now to an extent. So we're going to create a new layer, and above these extra wide petals, and create a new layer above it. Make sure you do the same two options of clipping mask and the same again for drawing assist. And then I'm going to rotate my canvas so I can I like to use the lines nice and easy. And I'm going to just draw in that middle line again. And let's make sure that sits nice and flush in the center. And then for this one, I'm probably just going to draw some sort of the sort of spine of the leaf, like so. And then from here, maybe we draw in some different, maybe we draw in the same thing in each one. So maybe we just draw in some dots in all of these, so 2 dots in each one. Maybe when the sort of section gets slightly bigger, we can fit in 3 instead, and then if it's slightly smaller, we just fit 1 in, like so. And then maybe we just get a little one in there, like so. Maybe let's just go in and add some slightly darker sections. Maybe let's just add in maybe some vertical lines in there as well. So what I did there was I just zoomed out and just had a look at the amount of detail in it and thought, do I want to add anything else in there just to make sure it's sort of consistent with the rest of the design? Like, is there enough detail in this so that when I zoom out, I'm happy with how it looks? And for the most part, I'm pretty happy with that one. Maybe I would add in some darker sections in there. Maybe I would actually go in and block out my colors in this one, and maybe if I drag and dropped my color in, make sure that's a blocked out shape. Maybe I would do something like that. And in fact, I'm actually going to do that. This is all ideal because we can zoom out, see how we feel about it, and then get rid or add more content in. So I'm just blocking out that shape and dragging and dropping the color in, like so. And that would mean that this one here also gets filled in. And now when I zoom out, I've got that pretty consistent style with the rest of it where there's relatively dark sections. So I'm happy with that one. I think that looks pretty cool. And then the final one is we're going to tap on the plus icon on this bottom set of leaves, and again clipping mask, and again drawing assist. And for this one, it's quite a small one, so we don't need to draw in too much. Maybe we just draw in the same shape as the leaf itself and block out the lines. So we create a shape and then drag and drop the color in like that. And maybe all we add in is just some little dashes, like so, and then a big dot at the top there. Now at this point, we're going to move on to the next step, which is going to be the highlights and shadows. And that's actually the final step in this, is just adding all that content in. But ultimately you've created your style now at this point with your different levels of detail. This is how mine came out, and if you followed along, that's awesome, but otherwise I expect you may have paused the video at that point and just cracked on with your own style. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on, as I mentioned, to highlights and shadows. So for each one of these sections we need to add in exactly that for each individual one. So what we want to do is just go back up our layers a little bit, and we want to make our way back to this initial petal. Now, as always with my tutorials, just turn them on and off so you know where you're sitting. And once you tap on it, create a new layer, and it will automatically clip underneath the black layer, which is pretty important of all the details. And you want to change the layer by tapping on the N to lighten. And with your color picker, just make sure you've got white selected now. So double tap in the top left hand corner and it will select white. And let's go to our brush library, and under airbrushing, you want to select the option of soft brush. And my soft brush is set to roughly 8%. And if we zoom in, what it will do with this particular effect is the harder you press, it will go straight to white. But if you do it very lightly, it will actually go through the stages of yellow through to white. And what I'm doing here is just adding in some sort of color towards the center of the design and spreading it outwards. And you can see it's quite white in the middle, but it fades up into like a nice yellow glow to it, and that's what we want to achieve. We want to get that nice yellow glow in there as well. I'm happy with the white in the center there. I think it makes a nice center point. And what we're going to do is simply repeat this process for all the different layers as well. So let's go to our layers again. Let's select the purple wings on the sort of outside and create another new layer. So it will then go underneath the black detail, and on that layer you want to go to the layer options by tapping on the N and change it to lighten. Now what you also want to do now is we need to use the drawing assist because we want to shade in both sides at the same time. So we want to tap on that and turn on drawing assist again. And with this now set, we can start to draw in our highlights, and I'm just working on the top edge here, going down ever so slightly, and you can maybe add in some really nice bright white if you press a bit harder, but I'm just pressing really lightly and making my way down the leaf until we get that nice look to it like that. And we're going to repeat the process for all the other leaves underneath. So turn on the next layer down, which is this one here on the left hand side and right hand side. Create a new layer. And we've got two options we need to do here. We need to change the layer to lighten, and we need to turn on the drawing assist. And with the same settings we've already got, we can simply just brush in that top edge again and fade it down, pressing very lightly, and you'll get that nice little white edge towards the top, and it fade down and get that nice gradient effect to it. And now it's really starting to come alive with the different colors. It really makes it pop out. And scroll down your layers, and the next color section we've got is these leaves here. We turn them on and off just to be sure, and repeat the process. We create a new layer. We tap on that layer and turn the option to lighten, and we turn on the drawing assist by tapping on the layer and turning on drawing assist. And same as before, we just stroke that top edge and then make our way down ever so slightly, and maybe we go in and add in a really nice punchy white line on the top edge. Awesome. And let's do the same for the next layer down, which is this top leaf here at the top. Let's create a new one. Let's change that to lighten and turn on the drawing assist. Same process, and then we just stroke that top edge and then very lightly in a circular motion just bring the color down a bit more, like so, and we get that nice little glow. Maybe you could punch that out in the center a bit more. And then let's go down our layers and work on the bottom half of the design. And we want the lighting to kind of change its direction ever so slightly. We just want to do the outer edge of the leaves at this point. So we go down to our layer, and the next one is this blue section here. We create a new layer. We change the layer by tapping on the N to lighten. And we tap on that layer and turn on the drawing assist. And now what we want to do is just stroke again this edge here, and then make our way inside the design again, pressing very lightly. Let's go down a layer again to the next leaf and create another new layer. Turn on the option of lighten and turn on the option of drawing assist. And again, let's just stroke that edge ever so slightly and rotate our way in. Now these ones are slightly lighter, so we're not going to see too much of a change in the colours like this one here. We get this nice burning effect. And let's make our way down one more time. So we're going to do the outer edge again, tap on that and create a new layer. Turn on the drawing assist and change the layer option to lighten. And again, let's just stroke the outer edge, pressing lightly and making our way inwards. And finally, just this one down at the bottom. So let's create another new layer once you've turned it on and off, just to be sure. Create a new layer, tap on that layer and select the option of drawing assist and tap on the layer and change it to lighten. Now this one you really won't see too much of a change because it's also quite a light colour, so I'm just going to draw in quite a light highlight on that edge there. So we've added all the highlights in now and it's really starting to pop. And once we add the shadows in, it will take it to another level and we'll be pretty much there with the design. So again, we want to start from the top and make our way down. So we're getting a lot of layers at this point, but hopefully you can manage with that. Now what we want to do is we actually want to create a new layer underneath this petal now, because we need to affect the layers underneath it and around it. So what we first start off with is we tap on the pink teardrop sort of leaf that we had at the front here, create a new layer, but we want to drag that layer underneath and tap on it if any clipping option happens and turn off a clipping mask because it shouldn't be clipped. And then what we want to do is grab our color and let's double tap and select black at the bottom of the disc. Let's go to our airbrushing and continue with that brush actually. And the only thing I've just realized we need to do is also tap on that layer and select the option of drawing assist because we want it to reflect either side. Now what you want to do is just draw basically the outline of that leaf again, and it will draw the shadows in both sides, and you're really going to start to see that this is now going to really pop off the screen. Now again, do it lightly and build up the shadows if you want to sort of create more of a definition between this leaf here and the ones underneath it. And we're going to repeat that process all the way down now again. So we're going to create, you could create a new layer underneath the pink section of the next area that we need to work on. It shouldn't clip automatically, but just double check there's no little arrow there. The only thing you should need to turn on is the drawing assist. And now we're underneath this layer here, as well as this one technically. We can draw in the shadow that we want. So we only want to add it in under here on the blue and here on the purple, as well as under here as well. We don't want to go outside of the design over here. It's not necessary to put that shadow all the way out there. And we're going to go down another layer. So the next one is this purple section here. So when we look at the shadows of where that would potentially cast, the only way it would really cast is under here on this outer edge. So we've not got a lot to do, and we want to create a layer underneath it and tap on that and select drawing assist so it affects both sides. And because this is the only area really where this will be affected, we just draw in a little shadow underneath so it affects the leaf that sits underneath it. And we're going to go to our layers and continue upwards. So next one is the blue one. Now the only place that this would affect is this leaf here at the top. So we're going to create a new layer underneath the blue here, tap on it and select drawing assist. And then the only place we want to highlight some shadows appearing is just there. And that's it. That's all we need to draw for that one. And it now gets a nice staggering effect of all the different shadows making their way backwards, and you get a real sense of depth. Let's continue down our design. We don't need to do any shadows on this one here just yet because we'll add in a whole entire background in a minute. So we don't need to do anything with that one. When we go down our layers, we look at this blue one next, and this would cast a shadow on the outer edges here. So again, with that underneath that layer, create a new one. Tap on it and select the option of drawing assist and repeat the process. So you just want to go around this outside edge because this petal or leaf here would be affected as likewise this one here as well. And that's that one done. We can move down, so we turn on the next one. Now this one also would cast a shadow on this one here, so we're going to create a new layer underneath it. Turn on the drawing assist, so we make sure we draw it on both sides, and the only place you want to add a shadow is just roughly here, like so, as well as under here. And when we zoom out, we actually have our finished in terms of shadows and highlights for the actual lotus itself. They're all now done, and now we can just add in one extra little touch. If we scroll all the way up to the top of our design and we grab our lotus, we could swipe that to the left and duplicate it. And what we can do is now, let's just fill in all the sections in black. Make sure we're on the duplicated layer for this. We're filling it all in. And what we're doing now is just about to create a shadow with it. Now we've got the completely filled in layer. You just want to drag this all the way under your layers, and what you can do is you can use your other finger while you're holding down that layer and drag it all the way down to the bottom. And what we want to do then is just go to our adjustments and go to Gaussian blur and select the layer option. Swipe it from left to right, so roughly 10% will do. And then I like to grab my cursor, and you can either drag it down or slightly off to the side. I think slightly off looks pretty cool, like so. And then just lower the opacity. So when you go to your layers, just tap on the N and lower the opacity down to roughly 40% in this instance. And then if I grab my two fingers like that, we end up with our beautiful design for our lotus with what looks like an equivalent of a mandala sort of style inside of it. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please drop a like down below. It would be underneath that subscribe button. If you're new here, as mentioned, I do tutorials every week on Procreate, so if you would like to follow along with weekly tutorials, hit that subscribe button. And if you followed along from start to finish, then be sure to tag me in your design on Instagram, and I'll make sure to share it to my story to give your beautiful creations the credit that they deserve. If you're not already following me on TikTok and Instagram, the links are in the description down below. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.